Hey gang, welcome back. So tonight we're going to do a sirloin with a ginger bourbon glaze. This glaze is a sauce I came across. I really like it because it has all sorts of complex flavors, sweet and heat. So let's start off by pouring 3/4 of a cup of bourbon. Then you're going to use 2/3 cup of brown sugar. Next couple of ingredients, go ahead and just add it to one bowl to make it easy. 2 tablespoons of Dijon mustard. It's going to add a nice flavor. 1 tablespoon of honey. Who can say no to honey? To which now we're going to add 1 teaspoon of apple cider vinegar. 2 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce, or you can say Worcestershire if you like. 1/2 teaspoon of red chili flakes to really help give it a kick. 1 teaspoon of kosher salt. Every kitchen should have kosher salt. It's so much better than table salt. Now you're going to take 1 garlic clove and mince it up, or about 1 teaspoon of garlic puree. 1 tablespoon's worth of ginger, minced. Next to the bourbon, the ginger is the foundation for this sauce. Ginger is such a unique flavor, but it works well with bourbon. If you're not a huge fan of ginger, I would just cut it down to maybe 2 teaspoons full. Otherwise, stick with the recipe. Heat up the bourbon on medium heat, just to where it starts to boil. Once the bourbon heats up, go ahead and add in the brown sugar and just keep mixing it until it dissolves. Once we brought it up to a boil, let's just go ahead and add in all the other ingredients. The ginger, the garlic, the Dijon mustard. And just use a whisk and whisk it up until it's nice and incorporated. Raise the heat to bring to a boil and just continue cooking until the sauce reduces into a nice glaze. And once you've hit that glaze mark, go ahead and just take it off the heat and set it aside. Let's go ahead and continue on with the rest of the dinner now. I'm using a mix of russets and gold potatoes, so I'm going to make a puree to go with the dinner. Peeling the potatoes, I'm going to cut them in half, that way they cook faster. We only want to cook them till they're knife tender. And on the side, heat up some milk. About a cup's worth of milk would be good. The milk is going to go along with the rest of the recipe, you'll see. Salt your water for the potatoes and bring them up to a boil. Meanwhile, let's go ahead and get the steak prepped. Kosher salt on all sides, and then we're just going to let it sit until it becomes room temperature. I do this with all my steaks. It lends to a better sear. Once the potatoes are knife tender and the knife goes right to the middle, you're done. Now once you're done draining them, bring them back to the pot, where you're going to use a ricer or a sieve to basically aerate the potatoes, which will lend to a nice, smoother and creamier mash. Once you've got that done, go ahead and return the potatoes to a low heat. We want to just evaporate some of that water that's in the potatoes, but we don't want to burn them. I've chopped up 2 sticks of butter into little cubes, and I'm going to slowly incorporate those into the potatoes, a little bit at a time. I'm going to add a little bit of hot milk just at the beginning to kind of give it a kickstart. And then I'm going to keep adding in butter till I get that desired silky smoothness. Just pretend that you're making some happy clouds. Now that I've used up all the butter, let's just mix in a little bit more milk. The last thing to do is add a little bit of salt to taste. Set it aside, and we're ready to move on to the next step. All right, let's get that steak going. 1 tablespoon of olive oil in a hot skillet. We want to make sure it's nice and hot. You hear that sizzle? That's what we're looking for. Depending on the thickness of your steak, it might take 2 to 3 minutes on each side to give it a nice sear. Once it's seared, we're going to finish cooking it off by adding in some butter to the pan. I'm using clarified butter that I made in another video. Baste the steak while it's finishing off. And you're going to keep cooking it until you get to that desired temperature. For me, I like 125 degrees to give me that perfect medium rare. And then I always let it rest for 5 minutes. If you don't let a steak rest, you run the risk of all the juices spilling out and ruining the steak. Okay, let's plate it up. I'll start off with a hefty portion of my creamy mashed potatoes. Let's add in that sirloin steak. How about a little chives for some color? Now let's top off with that yummy glaze. A little bit goes a long way. But since I'm by myself, I can have as much as I want. Of course, we don't want to forget our vegetables. This glaze lends itself to a variety of side dishes and vegetables, so serve it with whatever you like. I'm doing sweet white corn. Now it's time to dig in and enjoy. So until next time, I'll see you in the kitchen.